right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Organic Guy podcast. I am your host, The Organic Guy. This is your home of organic conversations where you get to hear from various thought leaders across the organic movement. Today, I'm super excited to be joined by Eduardo Cuoco, who is the director of IFOAM Organics Europe. He is also the head of Secretariat for TIPI Organics and is also a council member for TIPI, which is the technological innovation platform of IFOAM. Mr. Eduardo also has a Ph.D. on the role of stakeholder in strategic decision-making processes from the Polytechnic University of Marche. So before we get into the conversation, thank you very much for joining me in the podcast.
Thank you, Agara. Welcome to all the listeners. I'm very excited to be with you today as well.
I always like to give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of background for the guest who has joined us. And for me, your background is very interesting because before even joining IFOAM Organics Europe, you are actually very much involved within the organic movement. So maybe you can help paint a picture for the guys who are listening for the first time. What was the processes? What were some of your involvements before joining IFOAM Organics Europe?
I think I start from really in the past, when I was a little guy and I born in a city, in a very high, dense, habited city, which is Naples on the west coast of Italy. And I born really in a suburb with big buildings and not much green. And I think this was the reason why I really wanted to study something like agriculture, something that could move me outside of the city. So when I was 13, I decided to study agriculture, and I inscribed myself to a secondary school for agriculture and food, let's say. And there the magic happened, because after the second year, some strange people started, coming in my class and talking about strange thing called organic farming. It was really in the 90s, so it was the start of the organic movement, let's say the start of, the organic market as well. And, I was 16 and I was used to study biotechnology, to have an Excel file to put in, the formula to make fertilizer. And then suddenly some people told me that there was an alternative. There was something that we could do, a kind of revolution to be made in our plate, in our farms, in our industry. And I got really passionate about that. So I started at the age of 16 to really engage with the organic movement as a volunteer. And I grew up in the organic movement since that. So I've been funding, the Association of Producers of my region, the Italian Association for Organic Farming of Campania region. And I've been very active in the scene, in the organic movement for more than 10 years in Italy. And then I moved to Brussels. But during these 10 years in Italy, I could also continue my study. So I got a master's degree in food science and technology at the University of Naples. And I could really experience what organic means. I could really be on the ground, in the fields with farmers to know from them what organic means for them, what they do differently from other people. I could be in the industry to learn why industry decide to go for organic instead, of going for something that's easier and maybe easier to produce and maybe also easier to sell. So I think the backbone of my experience is really these 10 years that I spent in Italy, where I could experience real things, concrete things. I could touch the organic movement. And then I decided to enlarge my horizons, and I applied to be part of the team of IFOAM Organics Europe. At that time, we were 3 people plus 2 stagiaires, and it was very exciting to move to Brussels and to experience, working for IFOAM. It was kind of a dream, because when you're in the organic movement, you always see IFOAM as the organization where you want to be, the organization that you are proud to be member,
Yeah.
And so I was very proud to be then employed by IFOAM, and my task was really to develop TIPI Organics, so this European technology platform for organic food and farming. Which has been my little baby for many years, since 2013. So from 2008 to 2013, I really took care of the development and the recognition of the European technology platform TIPI Organics towards the institution, while supporting IFOAM Organics Europe in many other activities. And now it's more than 14 years that I'm part of the team of IFOAM Organics Europe, and this is a really incredible experience, because I could, understand also how organic can be placed in a political talks at European level, and how we can propose ourselves as a solution to the societal challenges that we're facing. But it's also very exciting because I got to know the organic sector at large. So not only the farmers from my region, from my country, but really farmers from all over the world who are committed to make our agricultural sector better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that it's for me still revolutionary. I still think organic farmers are making a revolution in our fields.
Interesting and very inspiring background, I must say. And as you rightly mentioned, actually, when growing up, most people are always looking up to, IFOAM Organics as the torchbearer and, places where they want to be. And I guess to some extent, most people do know about IFOAM Organics International, and maybe they don't understand what IFOAM Organics Europe is all about. I mean, they might, read something from the name, but maybe you can help us understand what IFOAM Organics Europe actually does and, its involvement within the organic movement.
So your question is about IFOAM Organics Europe, and I would like to start with a slogan. A slogan that it's maybe a little bit old, but I think it's still very effective. Think global, act local. So we have IFOAM Organics International, which is our global place where we can think and discuss the development of organic farming and, the development of our movement. And then we have regional bodies of IFOAM. We have a regional body in Latin America, regional body in North America, in Asia, and we have a regional body in Europe, IFOAM Organics Europe. What do? We bring together the IFOAM members, so the farmer community, the processor and traders, the retailers, the certification body, but also the people working in science, the people working in input for organic. I mean, we bring all these people together. We help them to have a discussion, around political topics that are being faced in Europe. And then together with them, we try to develop positions that can influence positively the European policies towards organic. So what we do, it's basically from one side, really advocate to make Europe more organic. That's our tagline. We make Europe more organic. And how do we do that? We do that by analyzing the political landscape and making sure that our voice, the voice of our member, can be heard, by policymakers. We do it also by offering organic as a solution to the challenges that Europe is facing. And we do it with a strong scientific background. So we want always science to back up what we say, but we also do it in a way of serving the sector. So what me and my colleagues do is not to bring our position, our ideas to the policymakers, but is to make sure that we can collect the ideas and the position of our members, and then we can translate them into the Brussels language and then present their point of view, their voice to the policymakers. So I like to say that the people working in IFOAM Organics Europe are kind of translator. They translate the needs of the organic movement into policy demand and policy requests for the policymakers. Then from another side, what we do in IFOAM Organics Europe is to keep developing the organic sector. I mean, we want the organic sector to keep improving, to keep developing, to keep, inspiring the rest of the agricultural community. And we do it in many ways. I think it's worth to mention that we are very much active on innovation, because we believe that being organic farmer is being an innovative farmer by default. Because, when you want to do things in a better way with less, like we do, then you must be innovative. And we are putting a lot of energy. We have a so-called knowledge unit in IFOAM Organics Europe, which is developing innovation projects. It's making sure that then all the innovation that are developed are translated in a language that is good for the end users, and that end users like farmers or the industry or the advisory services, and they can really apply these innovations on the ground. But we are also working on capacity building. We think it's very important to help our members in the different member states of the European Union and in Europe in general to have a better understanding of what advocacy means and to have tools to make advocacy in their own country, so to propose organic as a solution, as well as we help them to understand what kind of business model could be applied to create new organic associations. So to have really association of organic farmers, organic retailers, organic processors in the different member states to be representative, to have strong voice into the national debates. Yeah. So it's really condensed in a nutshell. I could speak hours about what we do. We really do a lot. Yeah. But I advise all your listeners to follow us, because we have a very informative newsletter that is out every 2 months, more or less, with a lot of activities. We have our annual report, where a very good base to understand all the different things we do. And also we are very active on social media, where we explain step by step all the activities, and all the campaigns and all the political fight we are running in Brussels.
Definitely, I can attest to that. You are very active on social media. I get a lot of information and updates on what's happening within the organic movement in Europe. So that's a very good start for anybody who wants to get more information on what's happening in the organic sector within Europe. I also like the analogy you mentioned earlier of IFOAM really being regionalized and spreading to be able to offer solutions based on the context on different places. And it goes back to one of my beliefs really of saying that organic is actually decentralized in a way, because it's not held up in one singular place and then being in a dictatorial way that, moving on, you must apply this in your farming system to produce more, all this kind of stuff. Organic farmers in Africa, for example, and an organic farmer in Europe, they all can be practicing organic farming, but using these different principles in a different way. So, for example, rotation. An organic farmer in Africa can use different crops to do their rotation, and organic farmers still in Europe doing rotation, but using different crops. So, in a way, very much decentralized and allowing people to use their context on how they want to do their farming. So very, very interesting. The other thing that we are very much involved with right now is COVID, because in one way or another it has affected us in our lives in a major way. And I guess organic is no different at all. As IFOAM Organics Europe, you are representing a lot of sectors within the organic movement. So maybe you can help us understand what has been, the reactions from your different members, and how have you seen this COVID situation really affecting your members?
First, I need to make this sentence. I need to really say that COVID-19 has made a lot of people struggling, struggling for their health, for their economical situation, for their social lives. This is something that touch all of us in IFOAM Organics Europe, all the staff and the members. We've been talking a lot about COVID-19 also in our office, especially, in the first and second wave. We know that a lot of people has been struggling. So first of all, I would like to offer our solidarity to the people who has been struggling with that in Europe, but all over the world. Then going more into the farming and the food aspect of COVID-19, I have to say thank you to all those people working in the food industry and in the agricultural industry who kept working despite the pandemic, despite the crisis around, this sanitary crisis around us. They kept working to secure that there was enough food on the shelf of all the European supermarkets. So this is very important, because these people has worked really hard despite very difficult situation. I mean, for a moment in Europe there were no containers. We could not move the supplies. There were no drivers because they were not willing to travel with all the border closed. So it was not easy, but still our community, our organic community, has been able to keep working, to keep delivering food on the shelf for our consumers, to keep delivering at the places of the consumer, direct selling to our consumer. Yeah. I mean, I found the organic sector super resilient. I was listening yesterday from a farmer from Austria who was telling his story about COVID. He said, my main business is to sell to restaurants, but then suddenly restaurants have closed. So I didn't know what to do with my food. And from the other side, there was the people in the restaurant that didn't know what to do because they were, jobless. So I think this is a nice it's a nice story, because what they did, they talked, and then they decided, okay, what maybe we can do in the restaurant is to process your products and make some process that can last longer, and then we can try to sell it together and have, a gain together. And they did it, and they've been very successful in that. And they now they kept doing this processing of this food and selling this new product on the market. And I think this is a short story, but is an example of how resilient can be our movement. I think it's so resilient because we really have a high spirit of cooperation between, the farmers, the people processing the food, the retailers, and the food supply chain. But let me also bring in some economical aspect of COVID, because as I said, it's been really tough for many people. But it's not been tough for the organic market. Actually, the opposite. The organic market has grown tremendously during the COVID crisis. We have peaked for some products of plus 35% in the first lockdown, let's say. And then this trend continued also after the lockdown. So what we experienced is that many European consumers, when they had to face a health challenge, they found their refugee, let's say, their safe place into organic. So they wanted to buy more organic food, probably because they felt it was safer for them to buy organic food, to avoid contamination from pesticide and to avoid damaging even further the environment. So they started to buy more food, and they kept buying more food, more organic food. So I think it's relevant to mention this aspect that in a way COVID was good for the development of our market, because a lot of new people started to buy organic.
I can also attest to that. I've seen, yeah, that development in my own country, for example, in Kenya, we did see a tip in people buying more organic products as a result of this pandemic. Also talked a guy from UK, so they also saw similar trend of people interested in buying more organic products. So yeah, it's a very interesting development as well, that when it comes to matter of health and things of nature, people actually do seek refuge, as you said, in the organic movement, which is also very, very interesting on its own. We are also seeing changes that are going probably to come within the organic movement in Europe, because we did see the European Commission, did set some new regulations which were supposed to come in this January, but they're expected to be enacted in the coming January in 2022. So from these new regulations, what should European consumers expect, and businesses and different people within the value chain, what should they expect from this new regulation that is going to come up in the coming year?
When it goes to the organic regulation, we have to tell people what is going to be there.
Yeah.
We have to tell people why we wanted to postpone the regulation of 1 year. So let me explain you one thing. That's this new regulation. This is a bit of a, let's say, technical part, okay? But I think it's important that your listener understand this, how this is made up,
Yeah.
Because this new regulation is made of a basic act, so a basic legislation which was approved in 2018 after 7 years of negotiation. 7 years of tough negotiation between the Commission, the other European institution, and also between, let's say, the organic movement, because we have been very tough, because we were not very happy about what was going to be published by the policymakers. So these 7 years have been quite tough, quite tense. Then in 2018, we approved this basic act, which is basically setting up the scene of the new regulation, but which is accompanied by other 23 pieces of legislation. So we have one basic act plus 23 pieces of legislation. Of these 23 pieces of legislation, as today, 5 still have to be approved. And we are on the 10th of December, and the deadline is the 31st of December. So when COVID exploded, we realized that it was impossible to finalize this 23 extra legislation by end of 2021. And we were actually right, because we are in, by end of 2020, we were actually right, because now we are in the end of 2021, and still 5 of these regulations have to be approved. So we as IFOAM Organics Europe have been advocating a lot towards the EU institution, asking to postpone the entry into force to allow the policymakers to work properly on this extra legislation, which is called technically secondary legislation. So we wanted them to really focus on that. But we also wanted to have our certification system able to learn how to apply the new regulation. Because, during COVID, it was difficult to make inspection. It was difficult to really do the things in the right way. So we wanted to have the inspector really focus on what they needed to do, not what they will have to do. So we asked the Commission to take 1 year more, so to allow inspector and the certification system to take care of COVID and make sure that, more food was available on the shelves, as well as, developing the secondary legislation properly, and then have the time for the certification system to understand the new legislation and then implement it from 2022. So that's a bit of technicalities which I think are important to know. When it goes to content of the new regulation, it doesn't change a lot. You might ask why then we have a new regulation. Then this is a question I will not answer, but I will tell you that something's good is there. I mean, there is a new provision which will allow organic farmers in Europe to use heterogeneous material for their seeds and their plant reproduction material, which is new, which is good, which is a premiere in Europe. It's the first time that is allowed in Europe, the use of heterogeneous material in organic farming and in farming in general. There are new provisions for group certification, which I think might be interesting for the people also extra EU, because this will be now applied in EU, but also as before in third countries. There will be restriction on the use of flavoring for the food industry, which I think is important to mention. And a last point I want to mention, just as an information, there will be an exemption from the annual physical inspection for low-risk operators. What does it mean? That small farmers who are not high risk for the certification system, for the control system, they might not be inspected physically every year, but every 2 years. This to reduce a bit the burdens on the small farmers and to make it a little bit more feasible for them to be organic certified.
Yeah. I certainly think they are very, very interesting, especially the part of group certification that also reduces significantly the amount of money that goes into certification. And ultimately, of course, consumers will be able to see a reflection of that in one way or another in their end products, because now if certification money reduces, also they might be able to see that on their end products that they're buying from supermarkets. And at the moment, actually, it looks like there are a lot of things that are happening within the European organic movement. The other thing that is very, very interesting is you do have a target of getting up to 25% organic in Europe by 2030. Yeah, it's one of those ambitions that you see a lot of people having different thoughts towards it, and especially I'm in Wageningen University. I've seen articles spreading around that maybe that is not a reality. That's a pipe dream. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, how are you approaching this ambition? I mean, maybe you can first let us know what is your role, what are some of the roles that you have to make sure that this target is actually reached, and how is the progress so far, and what are some of the maybe pushbacks you're getting from different sectors on this ambition?
I think the 25% target is one of the most discussed target in Europe, but maybe not only in Europe in the last 2 years. Let me take a step back. Let me take a step back to 2015. Let's travel back in the past. When in 2015 in IFOAM Organics Europe, we started developing a European vision for organic farming. So we started asking ourselves, what kind of agriculture do we want in 2030, and how we can reach that. And we made a long process to involve all our membership to really understand from them what their dream is, what their vision is. And then with the support of a strong scientific community, we developed this vision. So a vision that tells us the dream of the organic sector, and that was accompanied by a strategy to really make sure that we could reach that dream. Among other things, this vision says we want by 2030 50% of organic land managed accordingly to the principle of organic farming. And all the activity of IFOAM Organics Europe have been in this direction. We have been really working in the direction to make sure that policymakers could commit to a bigger share of land managed organically. And this has been a long process. It's been a long process would start to fly a little bit higher in 2019 when a new commission was elected, and we had a speech from the president of the commission, Ursula von der Leyen, about the Green Deal, this macroeconomic policy for the European bloc for the next 7 years. So the Green Deal, as you might know, it's not a policy for environment, or it's a policy for agriculture. It's the macro European policy for the development of the Europe, of the European Union. It's very big. And that it encompasses all the sector of the European industry. But what was relevant, and we've been really looking into that, the president of the commission mentioned 3 times organic farming in airspeed. And we were really, in the background pushing for that long time before the speech was made, because we really wanted to make sure that organic is recognized as a solution that can be part of this package of the Green Deal. And this was a very important achievement for us, because starting from that speech, we had the possibility then to advocate really to have a target and really to have more commitment from the European Commission. What we did, we talked a lot. We really explained all the benefit of organic farming, and we managed to discuss it with the policymakers at a very high level. And then they decided to have a target for organic. They say, yes, organic can be that tool that help us to reach the objective of the Green Deal. And I think this target has a very important political meaning, because it's not only a target about, organic farming, but it's a target about having organic as a political tool to reach bigger ambition. And then we found this target in 2 important strategies of the European Commission. One is called the biodiversity strategy, another one is called the farm to fork strategy. Both strategies says we need 25% organic land. The first one, because we want more biodiversity. The second one, because we want to reduce fertilizer, pesticide, and antibiotics in the agricultural sector. So the target is there by these 2 strategies, and has triggered a number of actions now that are going on in Europe and in the member states, but also triggered a very important tool, which is a European action plan that has been published a few months ago. It's a set of 23 actions, if I'm not mistaken, with concrete requests from the Commission to the member states or to us, to the organic movement, to take action in certain fields, but also concrete commitment from the Commission itself. Concrete commitment that goes in the direction of ring-fencing money, for example, for innovation in organic farming, as well as ring-fencing money for promotion of organic farming. I think this action plan is very important because it will help us to reach this target. Going on the target, where we start? We start from a situation in which now in Europe we have almost a little bit more than 8% organic land, and it's 2021, end of 2021. So in 8 years, we want to reach 25%. We need 3 times what we have now. Does it sound ambitious? Yes, I mean, it sounds ambitious. To us, it sounds also very much possible if there is a strong commitment by all the people involved.
Yeah.
So by the European policymakers, by the national policymakers, but also by all the people who is now involved in organic and all the people that might get involved into organic. I think it's important to mention one data, if we look at the development of organic in the last years, if we project it to the future, without a stronger commitment, we would have reached about 18%. This is not an IFOAM Organics Europe estimation. This is a European Commission estimation. So they estimated that with business as usual, we would reach 18%. So I expect that the next year will not be business as usual because of the target, because of the action plan, because of our increased commitment about towards organic farming. So say that from 18 to 25, let's say it's still a big step, but it's a step that we can take.
Absolutely agree. And in terms of the ambition, I mean, we have to be more ambitious in order to achieve these targets. And otherwise, it doesn't make sense for us to continue business as usual. And as we can see, business as usual cannot be an option for us to do moving forward. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, you said, how important research and innovation is to whatever you do. And I guess that's very, very important in terms of when trying to convince policymakers that, this is the right direction to take, right? So you need some form of evidence to show them, hey, this is what research is saying, this was the science is saying, and maybe taking this option is the right way to do it. And you've been at the core of leading TIPI Organics, as you mentioned earlier, into this direction. So maybe you can help listeners understand what is TIPI Organics, and maybe share with us some of the technological examples that you've seen TIPI Organics come up with and really help move the organic movement in the right direction.
I think it's a very interesting experience and a best practice that we developed in IFOAM Organics Europe. So basically, in 2007, the organic movement in Europe wanted to bring to policymakers the needs to, wanted to express to policymakers the needs to invest more into organic research and innovation. And this was not easy. This was not easy because in Europe there is a framework which is made of European technology platform who advise the Commission on where the money should go. So there are European technology platform for all the different sectors, one for nuclear energy, one for technological system, one for whatever. You think one, there is a European technology platform. There are 40 technology platforms at the moment in Europe. And when we proposed to have one for organic, we were told, come on guys, organic is just a niche sector. You have already one for food, you have already one for agriculture, just find your place in there. But organic farmer and the organic community is not used to surrender very easily. So we kept working on this project TIPI Organics very hard. We followed all the steps that the other European technology platform did, with the idea not to have only industrial partners, because basically this European technology platform are a platform where industrial actors go together with the scientists, and advise the Commission on what research is needed to develop the sector. We wanted to do something a little bit bigger, a little bit broader. We wanted also to involve civil society with us. We wanted to involve the citizen to discuss with us what is the research that the farmers need, the industry needs, the retailer needs, the input we need, but together with the environmental organization, together with the civil society organization, and indeed together with the science. TIPI Organics developed really much from 2008 to 2013 and then further again. But I think 2013 is an important milestone because it's the milestone one TIPI Organic has been officially recognized by the European Commission. So since 2013, we sit at the same table as the other European technology platforms. So we are one of those bodies who advise the Commission on how the money for organic should be spent, how the money for research into organic and agroecology should be used. And I think it's interesting experience also because TIPI Organic is not only about the organic community, because during the journey, a lot of non-organic people have joined the platform. So we have inside, organization of conventional farmers, of young farmers, of conventional industries. We really have a big group of stakeholders discussing with us the strategy for research and innovation of the future, because all these people is interested. They say, if we have more solutions for organic, then we can also commit into organic. So they are helping us to understand strategic research and innovation agenda that we need for the further development of the sector. And we really work with them on a participatory level and voluntary level. So all these people is involved, in helping us streamlining the research and innovation that we need for the future. And we have been also front runner as TIPI Organics in cooperating with a technological partner. I will tell you about technologies, but I would like also to say that for us, it's important to mention that innovation is not only about technology. Innovation is also about social innovation. It's also about the way we do things. So management innovation is about know-how innovation, which means, we know already a lot of things. How can we make sure that what we know is transformed into a real innovation?
Yeah.
And so technological innovation plays a role in a much bigger view of what innovation means for us. And I was saying we've been a front runner in technological innovation because already 2014, so many years ago, we started discussion with the European Technology Platform for Smart System. So the one who are normally developing smart system for other industrial sector. We told them, look, maybe you have something for us. Maybe not, but maybe you could. Why don't we work together? We started working together on topics that at that time were quite unknown, let me say, like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, smart contract, blockchain, this kind of stuff. I think this cooperation was really profitable from both sides. I mean, they found a new market, probably the agricultural market. We found new information, a new possible solution. I say possible solution because we have always to be careful.
Yeah.
Because, when it goes to technology, we have to bring them into our basket full of tools that we can use, but we should not rely too much on that. And also we have to be careful because sometimes technology brings with them a big luggage of unfairness. Yeah. I'm talking about the way these technology are developed, where the components are outsourced, where they are sourced, or how this technology are dismantled afterwards. So the waste that this technology might produce. So I think we have plenty of example of how artificial intelligence, Internet of Things could be used in organic farming. We have very smart organic farmers who have now wearables for their cow or for their sheep. They can monitor where the cow is. So when the cow wants to be milked, and automatically the cow goes there and can be milked. We have experiment a very high level of details with sensor in winemaking from the field to the bottle. And even the shipment of the bottle, how to prevent, that the wine goes bad during the transportation. So we really have a big portfolio of a pilot project and projects developed into the field of technologies, which I invite you to visit on our website. We have a TIPI Organics website, which is www.tipsiorganics.eu, where you can find a library with a lot of projects and a lot of information about innovation that have been developed. Let me add one more thing. TIPI Organic is the enabler. We enable through TIPI Organics more money for organic farming. But then we need the organic community to take the advantage of it, to make sure that then they apply. They build up consortia to apply for this project. They put together their expertise with other expertise, and they really take this money to develop innovation that then can go in the ground. Then can reach the final users. We as IFOAM Organics Europe are very much committed into that. I mentioned it earlier during this interview. We have a knowledge unit which is working in implementing innovation project themselves, but we also have developed together with other partners a knowledge innovation platform which is called organicfarmknowledge.bo. I invite you to Google it. This is a very useful platform because it's a platform that has been thought and developed for end users. So for people who needs to apply this innovation. So the language and the tools that you find there are ready to be used by a farmer or by an advisor. They're developed in a simple way that can be downloaded on your smartphone, or can be printed, or can be watched, on your computer. I mean, user friendly. So I invite you to have a look at this platform because I think can be an added value now, but also in future, because our aim is to fill it in with all the innovation and more projects that we want to develop in the coming years.
I can imagine. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, we could start talking about what IFOAM Organics Europe is involved in. We can probably take for hours and hours. And the last conversation just proved that on how much you are really involved in improving the organic sector and also bringing in other parties within the organic movement. And that directly actually leads me to my next question here. I mean, right now we are seeing different sustainability movements coming in, maybe We can talk about regenerative movement, permaculture, biodynamic movements, and other sustainability movements, generally talking about them. But now I'm wondering from your perspective, I mean, from an organic perspective, and as you are involved in policy advocacy within the European Commission and the European Union, how are you approaching these different groups of sustainability? Are you seeing them as competition? Are you seeing them as people you can work together to advance the sustainability movement? So what is your approach to them in ensuring maybe as you continue to work with them also, you are seeing the organic voice is also being heard clearly?
Let me say, I think some revolution has failed because then people started to fight themselves. The revolutionaries started to fight themselves. Yeah. That's what we need to avoid. I mean, if there are truly real sustainable movement who wants to change the way we do food in our world, then we cannot be enemy. We cannot be competitor. We need to work together. I mean, we really need to work together on the base of strong principle who can be, a common ground for all of us. Only with truly real sustainable one, the one that share the principle. I mean, unfortunately, there is a lot of people now around us who are trying just to greenwash. I mean, once I was talking with a person here in Brussels in a very important meeting, and we were talking about glyphosate, and this person told me, you know what? I mean, we are doing agroecology, and we even managed to reduce 50% of glyphosate. So I took the guy, I look at him, and I say, and you are not doing agroecology? Indeed, we do. It's much more ecological now. I mean, that's not agroecology. We know that that's not agroecology. It's not about spraying less, it's about not having glyphosate. I mean, when we go to regenerative agriculture, we have some industry here in Europe who's saying, I do cover crops, so I'm regenerative agriculture. We know that's not the truth. We know what regenerative agriculture is about. So I think it's important that we really base our discussion with allies on the principle. I believe there are a lot of good movements who are organic inside, let's say. So they start with an organic principle inside them, which is shared. And then there are a lot of people who want just to capitalize on the success we had. We have to be very careful with them. We have to have a clear, common strategy to put them aside, to kick them out of the door, and to make sure that consumer will not get into the trap that they are preparing, So I have very clear feelings about the good ones, but also about the bad ones.
I think I agree also. And I think the organic movement got where it is right now through sticking to its principles. I mean, they are always very, very clear. It doesn't matter if you go to Asia or you're in South America or you're in North America or you're in Europe. All these principles are what binds us together and has helped us really get through the tough times across the years. So, of course, the organic movement has to work with other industries that are similar, but it doesn't have to be through compromising on our beliefs and some of the things we hold dear to art. The other thing also, the IFOAM Organics Europe was very important in playing is when the European institutions, the European Parliament, the Council of the European Union and the European Commission actually signed a joint declaration stating the 23rd of September being as the official EU Organic Day. And I'm sure you guys had a huge role to play in this, but maybe you can just help us understand why this signal is actually important moving forward. And what effect do you see this kind of legislation coming into effect really is going to have for the organic movement moving forward?
European Organic Day. Yeah, that sounds already very good now in my ears. The European Organic Day. It's big. It's a big day. It's a day of celebration. It's a day where we can celebrate the success of organic farming in the last 30 years in Europe. And is a day that has been institutionalized because it's part of the European Organic Action Plan, which will be accompanying the growth of the sector in the next years. It is a day that we strongly wanted as IFOAM Organics Europe, because as I said, it's a day to celebrate organic farming, but it's also a day to take a stake of where the development of organics is compared to the 25% organic target that the Commission wants. So we want the Organic Day to become the day in which we can celebrate all over Europe organic farming, organic farmers, and the organic industry, and everyone involved in organic. But we also want the 23rd of September to be the day in which we can face the European institution to say, hey, are you keeping the promise to support us? Are you keeping the promise to give us all the elements, all the tools to reach the 25%? And it will be also a way and a day to talk to ourselves, to say, are we going to do all we have been promising to the people to do?
Yeah.
Are we committed to this 25%? Are we working in the right direction? So I think the 23rd of September has a very broad meaning for the organic community in Europe. And as I said, it's a way to celebrate organic. And I think it's important. We need a moment every year to remind ourselves of the good job we are doing. And I think this European Organic Day will be the appropriate moment. And I would like to add that we have talked with the European Commissioner.
Yeah.
Is gonna come with us in BioFac 2022, and we have a little surprise linked to the Organic Day, to European Organic Day, that we will announce in BioFac. So stay tuned, because I think, especially for the European organic sector, it will be a very important and interesting surprise that the European Commissioner is going to announce during BioFac.
Nice. Can't wait for the surprise. I'll make sure that I'll be there as well to experience that surprise live. From my own perspective, I think you guys are setting trailblazing really in terms of what different organic sectors can do in terms of trying to push for what organic is, not just from a delusional point of view, but approaching it from the facts point of view. I just wanted for you to share with us what has been the secret for your success. I mean, we do have these different regional bodies. We have ones in Asia, in North America, in South America. But you guys, when you look at all these regional bodies, you have been really the light bearer in terms of how organic advocacy should be done. So what advice or what insights do you think have helped you guys to be in this position and, to push organic to go further and forward?
I have a clear answer for you. Our strengths are our members and our staff. Our members were fully committed to the cause, so they are very active and they help us to formulate a very strong policy paper, policy position. As I say, it's supported by science, but really also by people that is working every day on the ground. So our policy positions are real, are made of real people working every day in the industry, working every day in the retailing, working every day in the farms. And this is an important strength. And then we have an amazing staff. I mean, my colleagues are great professionals who also understood the importance not to bring their point of view, but our members' point of view, to well interpret this role of translator of their needs. So they are great professionals. They have very good knowledge about the topic they are, working on, but they use this knowledge to make sure that the needs and the discussion that our members have are translated in the right, appropriate Brussels language.
Yeah.
And then we are also a bit lucky because maybe, we are in the right place in the right moment. Who knows? But let me say, if I have to be objective, our members and our staff really makes a difference.
I think the teams make the dream work, as they always say. So congratulations to all of you. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the coming few years and how the organic movement develops within Europe. Yeah, this is the point where I usually go to the fun part of the conversation. So it's called the rapid fire question. So where I have prepared 10 questions for you. So I'm going just to throw them at you, and then you can also your quick rapid fire answers to me, and then hopefully by the end of it we'll be having some fun, and guys will have a chance to know more about you before the conversation ends. So are you ready to get started?
Let's go.
Yeah, so the first question on the rapid fire question is, what was the first career you dreamt of having when you were a kid?
Yeah, I loved to work outside, to work in the agricultural sector, in the food sector, in the environmental sector. So to be someone who would experience not just four walls around him.
Nice. Second question, if you had to eat one meal going forward, what would you eat?
I'm Neapolitan. I come from the city of pizza. So there is no question about that.
Nice. The third question, who is your favorite historical figure?
Yeah, I have to go back to my roots. He's a young guy. It's called Masaniello. No one knows him very well outside of my city, Naples. But this young guy, I think he was 12 years old, is the one who started a 4 days revolution against the Nazis. So because of him, the city was made free from the Nazis in 4 days. It was just because of this little guy who was very courageous, very brave, to start fighting the Nazis alone, and then all the other people came to help him. And I always think about him when I think about people who has a dream that wants to achieve, and sometimes has to fight hard. This guy died in this fight, but made possible for the city to be free.
Wow. Congratulations to him. That's very inspiring. Fourth question. What sport do you like to watch or participate in?
I'm very lazy. I like PlayStation. Let's say that.
The fifth question. What is your favorite beverage? Coffee or tea?
Coffee, if I'm in Italy, tea all over the world.
What is your favorite book?
A Brave New World of Huxley. I really like the book. I think it's very nice. But I also like overall the books of Dostoevsky. All his books are very good.
Seventh question. If you could be any animal, what would you be?
Maybe a bird to be free to fly all over the world.
The eighth question. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I was definitely an early bird. I mean, I'm now definitely an early bird, but I was really a night owl before I was father of two. Now with two kids.
Yeah.
I mean, this morning I woke up at 6. So early bird.
yeah, responsibility. The ninth question. What quote resonates with you most?
I have one which I like it a lot because it's from Master Yoda from Star Wars. And he says always, do or not do. There is no try.
So the last question of a rapid fire question. Knowing what you know now, what advice could you give to your 18-year-old self?
I would tell myself to follow my instinct, let's say. But I would also tell myself to buy maybe some share of organic companies. They were very cheap when I was 18, and I knew all of them, and I would be rich now. But yes, that's another story. No, but I really think I would suggest myself to follow my instinct.
Yeah.
I mean, I followed organic. I was 16, and I think I did the right thing.
Nice. Thank you very much for participating in the rapid fire question. I'm sure the audience will know something or two they didn't know before they listen to this conversation. And overall, I enjoyed the conversation a lot. Get to know more about what's happening in the organic movement within Europe. Maybe you can share with them what is the best way they can follow your work, and they can follow IFOAM Organics movement moving forward.
Yes, I think our newsletter is a very informative tool. Really, I mean, you can read a lot about what we do. And then our social media, we are quite active on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. I myself also tweeting sometime and posting things on LinkedIn, so you can also look up for my profile. But indeed, the social media of IFOAM Organics Europe and TIPI Organics, if you're interested also in the research part, they are both very active and provide a lot of information. And then if you have questions, you can look up in our website. There is a page with all our staff and what they are working on. You can contact us and ask your questions. And get involved. Give your contribution, please.
Nice. Thank you very much for being very open and willing to share your work. And thank you very much for creating time to joining me in the podcast. Looking forward to meeting you in person, probably. Biofac, who knows. Till then, enjoy and thank you very much.